Live from the Hub Studios in Atascadero, this is a Clarion Voice. Good morning. This is Mark Sobowitz for a Clarion Voice, and we hope you're enjoying your Tuesday morning. Today, we have the opportunity to speak with Aurora Williams, who is part of the Hope and Faith ministry here in the San Luis Obispo County. And Aurora, thank you so much for coming back. We appreciate it. The last time we spoke with you, it was a couple years ago.
It was. Thank you for asking me back. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. All right, since we last spoke with you, what's new?
What's new? Well, we have been busy. We've been busy. So I think, as everyone knows, we've had a lot of rain in our community. And in January, our group stepped up and we partnered with Paso Cares. We partnered with Lags Recovery Center and the county, and we created the Paso Robles Warming Center Collaborative. And so that has been a team of volunteers who have come together to meet the need of an emergency warming place for people to sleep who are unhoused.
Okay.
So we have been doing that since January 9th.
Okay, so the weather, as unseasonable as it was, what problems did it create for you and the other organizations, as far as that goes?
So it was interesting. In November and December, our group had been talking about what's going to happen when the winter comes, what's going to happen when the rain comes. And there are certain expectations that different organizations are going to do things in a community. And when large organizations didn't step up, we were kind of looking at each other going, so what are we going to do? And then in January, as the news was talking about all this rain coming in, and it was going to be tons of rain and rain that was in levels that were not seen before, and what are we going to do, and what about the unhoused, and different communities were coming up with warming centers, we said, well, I guess we better step up. So we reached out to Paso Cares. They were on board. I reached out to Lags Recovery, which is the company that I work for, and they said, what do we need to do? And we put a budget together, sent it off to the county, and they came back, I don't know, within, I think, 36 hours and said, okay, let's do this. How do we put it together? And so they were willing to commit on a certain level for money. And the money was for food and water, transportation, so we could pick people up, sleeping bags, supplies that we would need. And we had a core group of people. And then we had to go out and find a place to sleep. So we were out. Honestly, we used the original ECHO model of knocking on every church's door and saying, so who's up for this? Like, who wants to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And as we were looking for churches, Paso Nazarene Church, or Paso Nazarene Church, had posted something on social media that they were looking to open their doors for people to come in from the rain. And so we reached out to them. Stephen Anastasia is the new pastor, and he was brand new pastor in the community. He grew up here, but he had been in Southern California for a number of years, and he had just come back to pastor that church. And so we met with him, and he said, doors are open. What do we do? How do we do this? And so we did the first 2 nights at Paso Nazarene Church, and then we stopped for 2 nights. The rain had dwindled a little bit the first 2 nights. And then the county had arranged with I don't know if it was the state or the city, but they got us the event center for, I think, 9 or 10 nights in a row. And we posted up there. And at that point, the rain was just pouring down. I mean, it was almost nonstop for days. And we had, again, a core group of volunteers. We used social media. People were coming in, bringing food, bringing warm clothing, bringing blankets, posting up, helping. And the highest number of people we had on any one night was 29. And we have been doing it on rainy nights and every other Monday and Tuesday, or excuse me, every Monday and Tuesday at Paso Nazarene. So the churches who got involved were Paso Nazarene Church in Paso, Plymouth Congregation, First United Methodist Church on Creston, and Highlands Church. And I am grateful. Those churches made sure that we didn't have any nights that we needed that were unsupplied. They just said, "How do we help? What do we do?"
What is the future as far as providing facilities beyond the churches?
Um, for the warming center, or just what does the future look like as far as activities?
I think just in general, the activities or what kind of things are in place that are going to be used to house the homeless in the community.
So right now, the warming centers are coming to an end because the weather's changing. I can tell you that in the last 3.5 months, we have provided over 550 bed nights at this little mobile warming center that we've pulled together. Overall, in the community for the unhoused, I believe that the county is working to partner more with different communities. There is a lot of money coming from the governor's office to provide emergency services for different projects. So I know that at the county level, they're looking at perhaps more alternative communities. So Grover Beach just put up a pallet city. I know that there has been the parking spaces at Oklahoma Avenue in San Luis. And I know, and that one has been a challenge on several levels for different agencies. And I know that they're looking to put something in Paso. I believe that if they put something in Paso, they're looking at having some long-term plans and doing some deep dive on the planning of that.
Okay, so that's beyond the facility that Echo has established, to house people on a limited basis on the property that they're sharing with people self-housing, self-help.
Correct. Because if we look at the number of people that the warming center has housed, we have served over 150 unique individuals. So if Echo's open every night in Paso and Atascadero, and they're full because they've been bringing people over to us, we appreciate the collaborative efforts there, but they've been bringing people to us. That means there's still 150 to maybe, I would guess, because not everybody comes to the warming centers. I would guess we have between 180 and 210 people on the streets in the riverbed on any given night. That's what I believe the unhoused population is in Paso.
Okay, how do you address that issue? With the warming center is winding down
Right.
because of the weather. How do you address the issue of having that many people out in the riverbeds?
So now we need to get creative and we need to partner. I know that we have talked with some of the people at the municipality about bringing in a day center. I think a day center is what our community needs. A
Mm.
day center could provide services for mental health, substance use treatments. It would provide a place for people to go during the day, and it would help allow people to go to one spot and get the connections that they need for the services that they need.
Okay, so then addressing the issue of at nighttime, for people to have a bed to sleep in,
Mhm.
what is being done to address that issue aside from, providing day programs?
So that's where the county's coming in. The county, I believe, has applied for money to create another, um, that alternative city. I don't know if they're gonna go with the pallet city. I don't know if they're gonna go with the parking space. I'm not sure what it is that they're looking at, but I know that they have applied for money so that they could create something up here in North County.
I see. So that's in the future then
That's
at this point.
that's in the mix, yes.
Okay. Now I know that Hope and Faith, the ministry goes to the riverbeds on Saturday mornings, correct?
Correct.
Um, how has that changed as far as the amount of people that you're dealing with?
Well, from when we started down in the riverbed and we ourselves had transitioned from working in the creeks in the riverbed in Atascadero over to Paso. I think when we first started in November 2021, there were a lot more people on the streets. There were a lot more people in the riverbed. I think that the efforts of ECHO has helped get a lot of people housed. Um, but I think that we still have a lot of people. And so there's a number of people that we see on a regular basis. I think what has changed the most is in the past, it was people with lower levels of need. And I think what we're seeing today are higher levels of chronic and severe mental illness. So
Okay.
I mean, if somebody said, "So how many people on the streets have schizophrenia?"
Hmm.
I could probably name 5 off the top of my head without thinking too hard. If somebody said, "How many people on the streets or in the riverbed have a meth issue or a fentanyl issue?" I could probably fill up both hands without thinking too deeply.
Hmm.
So I think what we need to do is shift what we're thinking about and how we're gonna serve that need. So one of the things I feel like a hat rack. I wear different hats. We have a homeless shelter that's opening up in Santa Maria tomorrow, and it's gonna be a soft open, but it operates a little bit differently than how our local homeless shelters operate.
Hmm.
So it's gonna be a shelter that has shelter beds, but in the morning when people wake up, if they have a job, off they go to work. If they have nothing to do, then we've got programs on the other side of the building at our navigation center. And those programs are mental health, they are substance use treatment, and we have a physical health doctor. So we've got mental health there 4 days a week, a physical health doctor 1 day a week, and then we've got substance use recovery 5 days a week.
Okay. So in my way of, in my perspective, from what I know,
Mhm.
the mental health issue, has it has it increased, as far as the severity of it and how many people have been, diagnosed with mental health issues, or are we deflecting, the energies of the people there, and diverting them to the programs that you're talking about?
Well, I think what's happened is helped the people with we've helped the people that are easier to help. And we've reduced the numbers. We've boiled down the numbers to the people who now have the highest level of need. And I think as communities and service providers, we need to shift how we start serving people. There are more and more street teams on the streets.
Okay.
Um, I know I reach out to, I mean, I work for a behavioral health agency, but I know that there are other agencies that are on the street, and I know that I need to be willing to collaborate with them to meet the needs of people on the street because I don't believe that there's any one agency out there who can meet all the needs. I reached out to Transitions Mental Health
Mhm.
last week. They were able to see the person, they were able to get the person an appointment, and they said, "This is the date of the appointment, this is where they need to go, and you guys can provide the transportation," right? It was like, yeah. To me, that's organizations working collaboratively to meet the needs of somebody who is unhoused living on a sidewalk in our community, and I think that's what we need to do more of.
Okay. Because the problem isn't going to go away. It's going to be there with everything changing with the economy and all sorts of other issues. So you feel that there needs to be more of an effort to, for different organizations to join together to help out and use their resources to help these people, that have mental health issues.
I believe that we need to work collaboratively. We need to work more collaboratively together, and I think that we need to be not afraid of working with people. I
Ah,
mean, it's
okay.
when you've got somebody who's screaming on the street corner, I think the immediate reaction is, "Whoa, I don't wanna get too close." But when somebody is acting out and somebody's hurting, that's when they need to know that somebody cares, right?
Hmm.
And if this is the field that I work in and I've been trained properly, I should know how to approach this person in a safe manner. I should know how to engage that person. I shouldn't be afraid of engaging that person. And I should be willing to ask that person, "How can I help? What's going on?" And maybe they're having physical pain. Maybe the voices in their head are having conflict and they don't know how to make it stop. There's one person that we work with on a regular basis, and to watch him struggle with which voice is going to be heard. And he always wants it, the voice that belongs to the body, to be heard. But he's got to fight with the other voices to get that control. It's painful to watch. It's scary to watch. It's loud to listen to. But at the end of the day, he needs to know, I believe, that he needs to know there's people that care enough, and they're not going to walk away when the voices get loud, and they're not going to walk away when it gets scary. I mean, in any of us, in our greatest time of need, we just need somebody to reach out and maybe just sit there with us.
Okay. If a person wanted to volunteer in whatever program it might be, I know that we've been flashing on the screen the contact information, so the best way would, there's a phone number to call, is that correct? It's 805-236-1007, right? Okay.
Correct.
And then there's somebody there that would be able to direct volunteers to whatever program?
There is. That's my phone number.
Oh, okay.
And my phone number gets passed around like a Pez candy. So I'm okay with passing it out. I feel like, there are some people who want to come out in the riverbed. There are some people who just want to cook food. There are some people who, different people want to do different things because they have different levels of comfort. So it's like, maybe this isn't the organization they want to work with. Maybe they want to go learn how to do the hotline with TEMA. Maybe they want to learn how to answer phones to take those crisis calls. Or maybe they just want to go cook food and deliver it to Echo. There's different things that people want to do. So it's like, how do we help somebody find the organization that's going to meet their need? Because at the end of the day, and this might transition us into that next thing we've been talking about, at the end of the day, there's a mission that needs to be met. And if I'm meeting my purpose in life, I'm helping other people find theirs.
Okay. Do you feel like there has been progress made in dealing with this homeless issue, as far as improving services or getting people out of the riverbed? Do you feel like there's been some measure of improvement?
I feel like there's been improvement because people are having harder conversations. I think those harder conversations are happening. I think there are people, I asked one guy how long he'd been in the riverbed. He said 13 years.
Oh my gosh.
I thought the people that had told me 8 and 10, I thought that was a lot. 13 years. I said, how does somebody be in the riverbed for 13 years? And he told me.
Wow.
And it works for him, but he's got a severe mental illness.
Ah.
And so that's a place where people don't bother him too much. And I understand that the municipalities have their responsibility to a community. I totally get that. They want to make sure that people don't drown in when the river's running. They want to make sure that there aren't fires in the riverbed and, houses and things don't burn down. And that if there is a preventable crisis, that we prevent it, fires in the riverbed kind of thing. I understand that. But when a community is charged with how do we take care of people who have severe needs and there's no place for people to go, then what do? I think that's when we need to be creative. We have one of the people on our team, and she is just a doll, and her name is Kimberly Booth, and she's kind of like everybody's mom, and she's bubbly and she's sweet and she's loving, and she's going to tell you to toe the line. She's going to let you know what the boundaries are, and she's going to tell you, you know what, you need to help, you need to do this, you need to do that. She will also say, how can I help you? What do you need? What is the help that you need to move you from where you're at to where you want to be? And she will take phone calls from people. She will drive them to social services. She will help them make phone calls. She'll help them fill out forms and applications. She'll take them to drug and alcohol. To me, she has a servant's heart, and she is doing the things that need to be done.
One thing I've been hearing about, recently in the last year, anyways, about the fact that riverbeds, the people that are living there, they're being asked to leave, or they're, tearing them down in various parts of the county and whatever. How do you feel about that? When sometimes these people have nowhere to go.
Well, I have probably more than one thought on that. One, I think it is emotionally abusive to people who have mental illness to push them from one end of the riverbed to another. Um, I think it is traumatizing, and I think it it is traumatic for them, but it is a reoccurring trauma. And we understand and know that PTSD is created when people have recurring traumas. And so I think that we are reinforcing traumatic experiences on people when we do that. I think as a community, we can do better. I don't think it's the right way to solve the problem. I don't think it
Okay.
solves the problem. I think what it does is it infers to a community that something is being done when all I'm doing is shuffling the chairs on the Titanic.
Right.
I think that as a community, if we are to come together and we create the resources that are needed, we bring in better or more mental health services, we create a day center, we plan ahead for a warming center, we recognize that people need different levels of services, and then we go and we look for those services and we bring them in. There are some moms up in Northern California, and they are really, really, really driving the housing that heals model. And they're looking at creating um, communities that have different types and different levels of housing for people with mental health issues.
Hmm.
And I think that we need to look at more and more of that. If you were to look at our county behavioral health website and you look at outside, you look at different placements, they're all out of the community. Transitions mental health, I believe maybe there's one or two small independent housing projects, but all of the other large housing for people who have severe mental illness or substance use issues are out of county. And I think that we need to recognize that this is a community. These are people who were born and raised here. These are people who have families here. We need to take care of our own and not send them off to other communities. I think we need to be able to stand up and say, hey, these are our people. Let's figure out how to take care of them.
Okay, fair enough. So if you want to volunteer, then please call 805-236-1007. That is Aurora's phone number. And also you can look online at Kayla Peach Memorial Foundation.org. And there's also one other address that you can look at, which I don't have in my head right now, but in any case, it's being flashed on the screen, so you'll be able to see that. And basically, if you're interested and you care, step forward, because this problem is not going to go away until we get together and be able to resolve the issues that people have, and they're very legitimate. And Aurora, thank you very much for updating us on what's going on with the issue, and we sincerely hope that the programs benefit everyone, and the problems are going to be dealt with so that people know that there is somebody out there that cares.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for inviting me back and
Oh, you're very
giving me a
welcome.
chance to.
Okay, we hope that you've had some insight into what is going on with the homeless issue, and we sincerely hope that you'll step up and contact Aurora, or look at the websites that were being flashed on the screen, and participate. If you care, then just step up. You never know where you're going to be needed. So for Aurora Williams, this is Mark Sobowitz with a Clarion Voice.